is Jessie. I'm a Canadian certified counselor, and Philip asked me to do a presentation on personal wellness. So I'm very honored to be here today, and I believe we will be taking some questions.
Is it possible for you to balance all at a time? Because of course, each of the wellness desires, needs time.
Yes.
You can't just can you balance everything at once? Is it possible? Then if yes, how can you? Because you've illustrated on a lot, different types of wellness, and you need to create time and try and do one thing or that to satisfy all those wellness. So how can you do everything at once?
Yeah, so it's so overwhelming if we look at it all at once. So sometimes it's helpful to start at the foundation. So the foundation is our self-care, and that's the next piece we're going to talk about. So we build from the foundation up. I'm not sure if any of you are familiar with Maslow's hierarchy of needs.
I am.
Okay, so we start with the foundation and then we just move on up. So usually in therapy, we'll start with basic self-care. How are you sleeping? And that's actually the next piece that we're going to transition into. So I'm very glad that you asked that question. So once our basics are, taken care of, then we move on and we can do the work. Anyone else for a question? Thank you for that one. It's coming up, the basics.
All right, thanks.
You're welcome. Okay, should we move into physical wellness then?
Yes.
Yes, okay. Okay, so this is actually where I usually start with therapy, is physical wellness, because it's what we call self-care. So a lot of people have this impression that self-care means going to the spa and getting our nails done, and that maybe if you're, everything else is taken care of, we can do that, but self-care is actually taking it down to the basics. So the first piece is sleep. Sleep is our foundation of wellness. And often when I see mental health, I don't like to call them disorders. I call them mental health symptoms or responses. We notice that one of the things that's missing is sleep. So for those of you maybe who've experienced some pains in life, some grief, some loss, we know this impacts our sleep, right? So getting our sleep back up to that 7 to 9 hours, whatever is a good fit for you. It's different for everybody, the sleep, how much we need, but to getting to know our body, how much sleep do I need, is very helpful. So I speak to clients about sleep hygiene. So this is about creating a comfortable environment to go to bed in. It's about relaxing. So I do things such as progressive muscle relaxation with clients or deep breathing exercises. And I did give Philip the link to some of those if you want to look at them on your own time. But for time purposes, I'll move on. Was somebody wanting to say something? Yeah, you have a question?
Yes, I have a question.
Yes.
Yes. Okay, my question is this. Where do you draw the line between personal wellness and public wellness in a situation where you have your personal life and you also have the public aspect? Maybe you're a public servant. So you've talked about personal wellness. Now, so where do you draw the line where you need to differentiate between your personal wellness and the public side of your responsibilities?
So the public side meaning your family or your work or community?
Yes, family, work, and yes, relationships generally that are beyond your personal wellness.
Okay, yes, very important question. So this is talking about boundaries. How do we set boundaries? And this is something we're going to talk about. I think it's the last thing I speak about. So it's coming up, but where do we draw the line? Well, if we're being pulled in so many directions, we can't be personally well. So we have to draw some boundaries, and this is how much I'm able to do, and this is how much I can't do, because in order to serve our community, we need to be coming from a place of wellness. That's one way that I put it for clients that find it very hard. They're like, I want to help everybody. I want to be out there, but you can't serve from an empty vessel. Does that kind of touch on what you're saying?
Yes, it does.
Okay. Okay.
Yes.
All right. So that I will speak about that in a few minutes, so the social piece and how,
Okay, it's all right.
yes, it's okay. All
That's
right.
okay. That's okay.
All right. So now we were talking about sleep. So maybe sleep's not an issue for you and then you're very blessed. But what I see is a lot of people that are having sleep issues, and that then is going to impact all of the balance of the wheel. Because if you're not sleeping, how are you showing up to work or your family in a rested state of mind? So bedtime rituals is something that I do personally, and I actually encourage in people. So things like maybe lavender, it's a scent that's very calming. So maybe we're going to start off with having a chamomile tea, and then we're going to have maybe a bath and then put on our lavender. And creating a ritual around bedtime can be very helpful for us to relax our bodies. We're always go, go, go in our lives. So that can be very helpful. Now, another part of physical wellness is nutrition. So, nutrition is key when it comes to our mental health and our physical health. So, a lot of people that come to me don't know that what happens in our stomach is actually directly linked to what's going to happen with our brain. So, eating our healthy foods, our vegetables, our fish, our fruits and nuts and all of that is very helpful. So trying to limit how much of food that we eat out of packaging. I know sometimes it's easier to grab things that are processed and packaged because we're so busy, but at the end of the day, we're going to crash faster because of everything that goes into making those foods. It's not really helpful for sustaining our bodies and being mindful when we eat out. Now, for physical wellness, we also need movement. So, this is a piece that a lot of clients don't like to talk about exercise. And so I refer to it as movement. So, we don't have to go to the gym or go out for a 5 kilometer run every day or anything, but we need to move. And the pandemic's really hindered that for people. I have some clients that are saying, all I do is move from my bedroom to the couch, and then I do my work, and then I move back. Well, yes, this is going to impact our mental health. It's going to impact our physical body as well. We're going to get weaker. Our minds, everything, we're made to move. So going outside, even for a walk, is helpful. So there was a study that was done by a group of researchers, and they got a lot of different studies and did kind of a meta analysis on, or a systematic review of the mental health benefits of nature-based recreation. So if you go outdoors into nature, anything like gardening or a walk or a run outside in where we're touching earth, it actually helps us with our overall well-being. So if we intentionally do this every day or several times a week, it helps with our resilience. It helps with our restoration. It helps with our cognition. It also decreases anxiety. It decreases depression and stress. Now, I know what the issue is sometimes when we're so depressed, there's such low motivation that we don't want to get out and do anything. And that's kind of becomes the catch-21 or whatever you want to call it. It's so hard to get motivated enough to go out. But once we start doing that, it's when we increase our wellness. Mindfulness is another huge area. So I get a lot of clients that have had childhood or traumas or emotional traumas or grief. And, people only come to me when they're not happy. I never get to see people when they're in a good place because I'm a counselor. So mindfulness, it has a lot of research out there to be able to actually slow down and being in touch with our bodies. So this is the base that I was talking about for our wellness. When we can slow down, be in touch with our mind, be in touch with our body, and actually do our deep breathing. So if we're in a heightened state and we're stressed out and we're angry or we have anxiety, actually elongating our exhale. So if we breathe in and actually breathe out of our mouth longer than we breathe in, it naturally will slow down our parasympathetic nervous system and will become calmer. However, when we're in that state of high stress and anxiety, it's really hard to think, oh, I need to start doing my deep breathing now. And that can be the piece that's missing. So if every day we're intentional and we're mindful and we breathe, actually taking the time to breathe out of our stomachs. So we often take shallow breaths every day. We breathe out of our chest. So we want to actually maybe put your hand on your stomach. We can all try this right now if you're open and willing. If we just try to take a couple deep breaths out of our stomach, make it move in and out. And if we intentionally take time to do that every day, we can be more mindful. So one of my favorite things is yoga. I'm always gonna love yoga. It actually connects our mind and our body and our breath and all of this together. So that might be something you might already be doing, or maybe you want to try out for physical wellness. So the pieces: sleep, nutrition, movement, when it comes to the physical bases of self-care. And then relaxation, relaxing our mind, being mindful. And now the next piece is the social wellness piece. And we had a question about that. How do we balance the social piece if we're being pulled in all these directions with our personal wellness? So I'll start off by saying we're social beings and we need to interact with family, friends, colleagues for wellness. And I can speak to Canada. In Canada, isolation is actually a major contributor to mental illness. So many people, I've worked on our crisis lines for over 6-7 years. So many people are so isolated in their communities, in their apartments, wherever they are, that they're having mental health struggles. And I'm not sure if in Nigeria, isolation is a piece that contributes to our mental health at all or not. But I do know in collective cultures, family is very important because my heritage is from India. My parents have immigrated to Canada from India. So I know all about family and how that's very important. And this is very healthy. So it does contribute to our overall wellness. However, sometimes in our collective cultures, and this can be any cultural group, there can be family enmeshment. So what this means is the family has certain roles that's given out to family members, and we then take on sometimes our family stress and such, and we don't have enough space in between to be able to work on our personal wellness. So if we're missing the sleep, if we're missing the space to eat healthy, to have our physical exercise and all of that, and have our occupational and all of that, because we're always trying to give to family, that can become unhealthy over time. So in a healthy dynamic, we're all supportive of one another, and we seek support from time to time from people, but we also give support. So we do both. We ask our family for support when we need it, and our family is able to give us support when we need it. However, the family enmeshment that I was talking about is when there's not that flexibility. So maybe somebody's taken on always angry role. So maybe it's father, he's always angry. And maybe it makes sense. He works too much and he's very tired, and that leads to anger. So we know we need to tiptoe around our father, and say somebody in our family, I don't know, whoever is always sick, they're always not feeling well. So we're always trying to give them support and help them feel better. So that's what enmeshment looks like. And in this dynamic, when we then have children, it's hard for the children to understand that they they can be flexible, they can give support and receive support as they grow older, because what they're seeing is people that you have to tiptoe around, people that always need support, and now you become the giver of support. And sometimes even children take on the role of giving support, and they become parentified. And I see this in all sorts of cultures, not one or the other. It's the family in which this has happened, and the children have become the ones that take care of their siblings now on a lot of the times. And sometimes there's real reasons for that because of resources. They don't have access. The parents have to work all the time, so the children have taken on these roles. But later on, then when you grow up and you've been taking on these roles for so long, and now you're in your career or you're going to school and you need some space for family, this is when all of this can start to impact our mental health. Because it's so much. I'm supposed to go to school. I know I have to be there for my mom, maybe, who's always not feeling good. I'm very scared around dad, so I can't ask him for any support when I need emotional support. So as we transition into things that are difficult, like school, post-secondary education, we might need to start setting some boundaries. And I know I come from a collective culture, but I'm also born in Canada. So I know this can be very difficult, because growing up in a culture where you're supposed to give to your parents and be there for them and everything, setting that boundary is very, very painful and very difficult. And there's shame, there can be guilt. But in order to maintain our social wellness, so we can then give to our family and give to our career and be able to have that balance, sometimes this means being able to say no. And that is very, very difficult. As I'm saying, it can be painful, and people aren't sometimes used to hearing that. So when you say, actually, I can't come over to dinner or whatever it is and cook tonight because I have to study, or I'm going to be at work late, it's a no. People can give pushback. Well, you're supposed to be there for your family. Why would you do this? You know better. So there can be a lot of pushback from those members in our family, or maybe at work. We've become that person that overworks and gives too much, and we don't get paid for that extra overtime we're putting in. We're hoping to move up in the company, but it's come to a point where we need to say no. So sometimes it can sound like compromise, like I'm willing to do this, but I can't do this. So setting those boundaries. So that's kind of what I have prepared. So I'm not sure if I did answer all of the questions. And I know that setting boundaries, for those of us who haven't done it before, it may seem very overwhelming or new. And I know for myself, this has been a struggle in my personal life, setting them as well. So I am done the presentation part that I have prepared, and I hope Philip is ready to do spiritual wellness. Philip, I can't hear the question.
Hello.
Yeah, sorry, I didn't hear what you said.
Okay, you can't hear me very well. Okay, let me repeat. Okay, yeah. Like you spoke about taking a deep breath several times, and every time you are stressed and everything. So now my question is this: I've asked this before, but I am not satisfied with the answer I got. So okay. So what's the dynamics? Why is it that when you breathe in and out,
breathing? Okay. Why do we breathe?
Yeah. So is there any correlation or scientific proof that?
Yes, okay. Maybe a good book that you could look at it's called "The Body Keeps the Score." It's about Bessel van der Kolk. So, or you can just Google scholar breathing and nervous system. So when we breathe in, we increase our heart rate. So we're living, we breathe in. And when we breathe out, if we breathe out longer, we actually decrease our heart rate. So if we look at when we're irritated or we're angry or we're stressed out, so if we look at a thing called a window of arousal, so here's a window. It'd be nice if I had, maybe I can, okay, so say this is the window, and this is the optimal arousal. So this is where you can feel intense pain, you can feel intense happiness, but your whole brain is still online. So our prefrontal cortex is what makes us able to think rationally, and it's our logical brain. But what happens when we get very angry or very irritated is we go out of this window into this space here called hyper arousal. So this is when we're just, our heart rate's going and we're not calm, we're stressed out, we're anxious. Anxiety and anger look very similar. So the breathing is to bring us back down into this window of arousal. So that's what it's for. And then if we do it every day, it can help us stay calm. So when we go out of this window up here, our brain, if we were to scan it, it looks different as well. Our prefrontal cortex goes offline, meaning we're not able to use this thinking part of the brain because our fight and flight response, or amygdala, is overactivated at this point because the threat can feel very real, whatever triggered us to feel upset. So if we use calm, deep breathing every day, we can teach ourselves. Our brain's very plastic. We have so much neuroplasticity. We can teach ourselves to stay within this window on a daily basis. And that's a contributor to wellness. So that's what I was trying to say. I'm not sure if I helped explain that any better.
Yeah, I think yes, you explained it better. Yeah, yes.
Okay. What else is confusing?
Nothing. Okay, like if you breathe in, right? Okay, the answer I got was that if you breathe in, your blood vessels and everything is not receiving enough air and oxygen. So when you breathe in, then and you are giving them enough to maintain sanity or that kind of a thing. That's what you're taking more air. You understand? So it tends to have a certain effect on you or something. That's what I got.
Yes, absolutely. That makes sense.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. So breathing, and this is something we can start early with our children too. So teaching our children how to self-regulate, and maybe be like, sit down in the evening and we all do breathing together, because then when they get angry and they go out here because things happen, they can learn how to bring themselves back down as well. And then later on in life, when things happen that are painful, they're better equipped.
All right. Thank you.
Yes, you're welcome. I wonder if Philip's gonna come explain spirituality next. Anyone else with a question that I can try to work on?
Okay. Yeah. Philip reached out to me.
Okay.
Yes. He called me. He said he's unable to connect again.
Oh.
But when yes, in fact he had to change location to see if he could get a better reception, but still not able to do so. So he asked that if when you are done with the session that we can conclude, and he will reach out to every other participant. Then probably by then he will have a copy of the record in which you're making, and he can make that available to everybody.
Well, I invite any of the participants to speak on spirituality just to conclude then, because I don't come from a very religious faith. My spirituality is about connection with nature and such, but I know it's very important for a lot of people. So if there's somebody in the audience that wants to speak a bit about spirituality, I would love to listen.
Okay.
Okay.
Can I speak?
You speak. Sure. Yeah, go ahead.
All right. Thank you very much, Jessie.
Yes.
Go
All right.
ahead, Lawrence. That's nice.
Yes, let's hear it. I'm excited.
All right. I believe with all the strategy you have given is perfect. Also, even according to World Health Organization, our total health or well-being, it won't be balanced without the spiritual aspect.
Mm-hmm.
The truth is that we are spiritual being. We believe one thing or the other. We believe we have faith. We work on faith, and it's part of us. Our complete being, our spiritual component is part of it. So the few things I would just suggest, uh, that if we practice some of these principles, also adding to what you've taught us tonight, will help us to be balanced. Number one, we need to be careful of what we listen to.
Mm-hmm.
Words are powerful. They either create or destroys. So your words, what you listen to, the kind of words, music, or even the teachings you listen to, as a way of influences you positively or negatively. So you have to be mindful of what you listen to, what you hear.
Mm-hmm.
So it's important to know what upsets you. If you know what upsets you, you can control it by avoiding listening to what upsets you.
Mm-hmm.
And going forward also, if you practice what called meditation, meditation for me, I'm a Christian also, depending your own background of religion, what you believe, like you talk about yoga the other time. I believe that is perfect. I so much respect. I believe that the meditation, when you take time to meditate, to study, especially God's word, it creates a perfect well-being environment for you. It makes you well, and it gives you what it calls a total, how do I put it now, spiritual well-being. So when you practice meditation, it adds value to you. It adds value to you. It's like life. He said it is life unto those that find it. So when you take that word, it's life. It has life in itself. So it's important for us to also know that word is controlled by the spiritual thing. So the more we also pay attention to what we believe, our level of faith, our meditation, then our confession, what we say,
Mm-hmm.
it matters what we say. The Bible says we will have what we say. So if you keep saying to yourself, I am well, I
Yes.
am good,
Yes.
I am perfect, I
Mm-hmm.
have a sound health, I live in good health. Those things, your word is control. Life is controlled by what you say. So the more you tell yourself what you want to be, even when your word, your physical word is looking like a negative outcome, but you keep saying the right word, it helps you to change the narrative of what you see outside,
Absolutely.
then
Yeah.
align that to what you want to see to change. So the change you are trusting God or you're trusting for will come by you believing in what is not okay now. Then you're trying to say, okay, by saying the right thing, then you're going to get the right result. So I believe that other thing, like you keep attention to what you do,
Mm-hmm.
you are sure of exactly what you do, what you practice, and you are committing to it. It's going to really help us. uh, I don't want to take much of our time, but I believe these are some of the things that I practice every day. I believe in confession.
Uh-huh.
I believe in meditation.
Yes.
I believe I believe in listening to good music. It relaxes it relaxes me, and creating an environment that one is also key. So adding to what you've taught us tonight about family, workplace,
Mm.
physical health being and all that, it's going to be perfect to have a complete well-being. Thank you for this
This,
opportunity.
yeah, this was a perfect ending, a great summary. That's the work that I actually do in sessions. We call them positive affirmations or mantras to remind ourselves whatever we're not feeling good on, to flip it. I am good enough. I love myself. I am honorable. Whatever it is that you need to work on. And if we actually connect, like you're saying, to our breath and our body while we say this to ourselves, it can start to create that change. So we get to a place where we believe it, and then it shifts the way that we show up in life. we can be more connected and with our family and our friends and at work when we feel that we're actually good enough. So I really appreciate you doing that summary. Thank you very much.
Oh, okay, sorry. Can I also add something? He has done a very good work on spiritual well. Can I add just one or two?
Yes,
just,
for sure. Yes.
All right. Okay, spiritual wellness also encompasses volunteering, trying to help people, just like you said, being positive and optimistic about life, also contributing to the society, connecting with others, feeling a sense of belonging, and practicing self-care. It's also about you having a value and trying to connect with what you need to do to the society to make it a better place by trying to help people, trying to bring people out of depression, trying to be positive in life, and trying to help others, bringing value to the community. Even your volunteering work, try do something. It's also about spiritual well-being, connecting to something higher, praying, reading the holy book, maybe the Bible. I'm a Christian as well too. Trying to have a deep sense of humanity and trying to give hope to people. You understand? Try as much as possible to having time to relax, just like you said, something about yoga as well, and having value, doing something that is out of the extraordinary, just to make the people, yourself, the nature, everybody, and your God pleasant with you. So I think that's just the summary of what I've just got to say. Thank you.
Thank you very much. That was so well articulated, this summary. This is perfect. Anyone else want to say anything before we end then today? I really appreciate the voices that I'm hearing.
Okay, I just want to add that in as much as personal wellness is very, very important, we should also remember that the spiritual wellness is also very, very much important. So, and we need to have a balance between both the spiritual wellness and the physical wellness. Because when you take care of the physical wellness, the emotional wellness, and you do not handle the spiritual wellness, you might still not have a balance.
Right.
The balance will still be tilted to one side. So, so you need to handle the spiritual aspect, what works for you, what is acceptable, and also apply these principles that you have taught us tonight on personal
I'm
wellness.
still on the journey. I'm still putting it all together for myself, and I really appreciate learning from all of you as well.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you for all of the voices that I heard. It really helped me.
Thank you, Jessie.
All right.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Jessie.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you.
Yeah.
Shall we end then?
Yes. So Philip said we should conclude that he will reach out to every one of us. I think he has our emails.
Okay.
All right.
He will reach out to us. Then I should remind Jessie to please save the recording.
Okay.
When she
Okay.
save the recording,
I will
so
figure that out. Okay, I'm gonna. Okay, I'm gonna stop the recording now then, and I will.
And then
save it.
Save
okay.
it.
Thank you very much.
Thanks for your time.
Thank you for all of your time as well.
Thank you.
Take good care.